Good morning, children. So, we were discussing chapter number 4 of history, the Mughal Empire. In this chapter, till now, we have discussed about that who were the Mughals, as well as we have seen that how the Mughal military campaigns took place in different parts of the country, as well as we have also discussed about the Mughal traditions of succession. That means how they were giving their inheritance to the next generation. They were giving it with the by the tradition of by the tradition of uh, that is called as Copercinary. Copercinary is what? Copercinary is the tradition of giving the all the authority or all the property and estate to the to all the son equally. This we have seen in the last period. Then we have started to discuss about Mughal relations with other rulers. In this we have seen that many of the Rajput rulers and other some of the other rulers were also connected, and their relations were very good with the Mughals. And today we are going to start another point, that is Mansabdars and Jagirdars. So, as the empire expanded to encompass different regions, the Mughal recruited diverse bodies of people. From a small nucleus of Turkish nobles, Turanis, they expanded to include Iranians, Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajputs, Marathas, and other groups. Those who joined Mughal service were enrolled as Mansabdars. So, as the Mughal Empire started to increase or expand throughout the Indian subcontinent, Mughal recruited diverse bodies of people. They recruited different officials in their empire. From where they have selected the people as an officials, they have selected from the different parts, not only the Turkish nobles, those are called as the Turanis, but they also recruited Iranians, Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajput, Marathas, and other groups of people to the different positions. Those who joined Mughal service were enrolled as Mansabdars. So those whoever were joining the Mughal services were called as the or they were enrolled as the Mansabdars. So the term Mansabdars refers to an individual who holds a mansab, meaning a position or rank. So, what is the meaning of mansab? Position or rank. It was a grading system used by Mughals to fix rank 1, rank 2 salary, and military responsibilities. In this way, there were three ranks. Rank and salary were determined by numerical value called zat. So we can say that the rank, salary, and on the basis of the rank, salary, and military responsibilities, the level of the mansabdar was decided. Whatever the rank was there, or salary, or the military responsibilities are given to that particular mansabdar, on the basis of that, their level was prescribed or decided. Rank and the salary were determined by a numerical value called zat. The zat is what? Basically it is a numerical value. The higher the zat, means higher the numerical value, the more the prestigious was the noble's position in court and the larger his salary. So in this way we can say that the mansabdar refers to the individuals who holds a mansab, means the position or rank in the Mughal Empire. And the position and the rank was a kind there was a kind of a grading system in it. And how the grading system was there? It was decided on the basis of rank, salary, military responsibilities. And rank and salary were determined by a numerical value, and this numerical value was called as zat. The higher the zat, the more prestigious were the noble's position in court and the larger his salary. So, on the basis of the zat, the salaries were decided. As higher, more prestigious, and higher the noble position in court, they were getting the more salary. As the zat or the level or the prestigiousness of the person or a noble is down, that means they were getting the low salaries. In this way, there were mansabdars in the Mughal Empire. Now, the Mansabdar's military responsibilities required him to maintain a specified number of sawar or cavalrymen. The Mansabdar brought his cavalrymen for review, got them registered, their horses branded, and them received money to pay them as salary. So, there were some responsibilities of the Mansabdars in the military. So, what kind of responsibilities were there? For example, the Mansabdars required him to maintain a specified number of sawar. It was the duty of the Mansabdar that they have to maintain the specified number of sawar or cavalrymen. Now, who are the sawar? Who are the sawars and cavalrymen? They were the kind of the soldiers of two types. Those who are having the horses, as well as those who are uh, fighting on the ground. And in this way, there were two kind of soldiers. The Mansabdar brought his cavalrymen for review, got them registered. So what the Mansabdar was doing, they were bringing their cavalrymen for the review, and all these cavalrymen were getting registered, as well as their horses branded, and then received money to pay them as salary. So whatever the horses these cavalrymen were having, they were getting brand from the Mansabdar, and in return of that, they were receiving the money in the form of salary. So Mansabdars received their salaries as revenue assignments called Jagirs. So what is the meaning of Jagir here? It is a kind of a assignment, and it was in the form of revenue collection. So Mansabdars were receiving their salary as revenue assignments called Jagirs, which were somewhat like iktas, but unlike muktis. Most Mansabdar did not actually reside in or administer their jagirs. They only had right to revenue of their assignments, which was collected for them by their servants, while the Mansabdars themselves served in some other parts of the country. So Mansabdar received their salaries in the form of revenue assignments, and this revenue assignments was called as the Jagirs. Jagirs was like Iktas, but it was unlike Muktis. Who were the Muktis? Those who were having the Iktas, they were called as the Muktis or Iktadars, and Jagirs are Jagirs and Iktas are somewhat similar, but the Muktis and Mansabdar, there is a difference between them. Most Mansabdars did not actually reside and administer their Jagir. Actually, most of the Mansabdar were not living into the Jagir. Actually, they were living outside the Jagir, and they were from there they were administering that. They only had rights to the revenue of their assignments. So what were their rights? To take the revenue assignments, which was collected for them by their servants. So Mansabdars were having their own servants, and they were collecting the revenue and all the taxes from the people in that land or in that Jagir, and in this way the servants were collecting all this for the Mansabdar, and Mansabdar themselves served in some other part of the country. Actually, the Mansabdars were serving in some other part of the country. Actually, wherever they were living, wherever the Jagirs were there, in that Jagir, the Mansabdars were not living, but they were having their own servants in the Jagir, those who were collecting the collecting the revenues for the Mansabdars, and the Mansabdars were serving in a different part of the country. In Akbar's reign, Jagirs were carefully assessed so that their revenues were roughly equal to the salary of the Mansabdar. By Aurangzeb's reign, this was no longer case, and the actual revenue collected was often less than the granted sum. There was also a huge increase in number of mansabdars, which meant a long wait before they received a jagir. These and other factors created shortage in the number of jagirs. As a result, many jagirdars tried to extract as much revenue as possible. While they had a Jagir, Aurangzeb was unable to control these developments in the last years of his reign, and the peasantry therefore suffered tremendously. So here it is said that in Akbar's reign, these Jagirs were carefully assessed. Means whatever the collection of the revenues and all that were there, these were assessed carefully. And in this revenues were roughly it was in this it was seen, or it was assessed that the revenues were roughly equal to the salary of mansabdar. By the Aurangzeb's reign, uh, this system was no longer the case, and the actual revenue collected was often less than the granted sum. So, in the Aurangzeb's reign, the scenario was completely different. That the actual revenue collected was often less than the granted sum. Means whatever or however the we can say the revenues were assigned to the mansabdar, it was less than that. And there was also a huge increase in the number of mansabdars. At the time of Aurangzeb's reign, the number of mansabdars were increased. What is the meaning of that? That means a long wait before they received a jagir. Means a number of mansabdars were coming one after another, and they were receiving the jagirs after them. And as the more number of mansabdars were there, they had to wait for a long period of time for receiving the jagir. So these and other factors created a shortage in the number of jagirs. So due to this, from the reign of the Aurangzeb, what happened? From that time, the shortage started to take place in the number of jagirs, and as the result of that, many jagirdars tried to extract as much as revenue possible while they had a jagir. So as they were getting as they were getting chance very late to get the jagirs, so what they were doing after that, they were trying to extract as much as revenue as possible from that jagir. So Aurangzeb was unable to control all these things, and this developed in the last 10 years of his reign, and the peasantry therefore suffered tremendously as the more and more revenue and the taxes were collected by the jagirdars or mansabdars. The peasantries were suffering a lot because the revenue or the jagirs which were collected, it was actually collected from the peasantries or from the farmers. And therefore in the last 10 years of Aurangzeb's reign, the many peasantries suffered tremendously because of the over extraction of the jagirs or revenue. In the next period, we are going to see Zabt and Zamindars. What is Zabt and who were the Zamindars, or what were the duties of the Zamindars, and how what is the meaning of basically the Zabt? These are all the things we are going to understand in the next period.